privilege of welcoming Mr. K. Isaac, the Deputy Manager HR from Nucleus Software, who is going to be the resource person of the day. I'm indeed my own colleagues, Senior Professor Dr. P. Ilango, Dr. Jerida Nyanajo Eljo, Dr. Nirmala, Dr. Rajavel, and my own pillars of the department, the guest faculties, who is the backbone of the webinar. Dr. M. Suresh Kumar, Dr. R. Karthikeyan, Dr. R. Selvamani, and my own research scholar, John Milton, and Mughal Jodi of MSW. So this is not the first experience we are having as a webinar. And I'm indeed happy to share with you that this is the fourth webinar that we are organizing as a Department of Social Work. The first two was on the mental health, and the third was on the research methodology for the social science. And now we are just getting into the actual field of the specialized field of emotional intelligence. So in this occasion, I am very glad that the participants who have joined through this virtual platform from 23 states of our country, and also there was a representation from 6 countries, namely Ethiopia, Zambia, Pakistan, Oman, Belgium, and Singapore. So that's a great sign or the confidence you had with the Department of Social Work. So even I'm happy to share that we have a good number of people who have subscribed for our YouTube channel, where we have been continuously having different kinds of lecture covering the various areas of the domains of social work. And coming to the concept of this emotional intelligence. So way back in the year 1964, we talked about the emotional intelligence by Joel Robert Davids and the clinical psychologist Michael Beldock, who has, in the Columbia University, they talked about this emotional intelligence. But when we were able to get to know the importance of emotional intelligence only after a book written by Daniel Goleman on emotional intelligence. So therefore, in the present scenario, it's very important for us to abreast of the various aspects of emotional intelligence. In those days, we have been talking about the intelligence quotient, IQ. And we talk about now the present scenario, we talk about EQ. And even the spiritual quotient has also come in. And this is very vital for the present generation, this generation. And happy that to just share about a brief profile of our resource person, Mr. K. Isaac. Isaac is a human resource professional, passionate towards HR with never give up attitude. He is a commerce graduate from Loyola College, holds a master degree in human resource management from Mark Gregorius College, and a diploma in labor law from Madras University of Madras. Currently, he is associated with Nucleus Software, handling recruitment and employee engagement. With more than 11 years of experience, he had been onboarding many talented professionals into the organization. He has an inbuilt style of engaging employees through his power-packed communication skill. He believes in self-confidence and self-learning through observation and practical thinking. Being a motivational trainer, he always believes in two-way communication for the effective participation to share knowledge with the budding professional. He is a passionate street theater trainer, soft skills trainer, and mimicry artist. He is also an active mentor and trainer to the young aspirant passionate about media. Isaac is known for his spontaneity of unique concept, ideas, and creativity. Isaac is socially responsible citizen and genuinely cares to serve the needy through his generous contribution. As his name reflects, he cherishes in making people smile and spreads happiness as a fragrance wherever he goes. In a nutshell, he is a wonderful human being with human touch and positive vibration. With these few words, let me not take much of the time. Let me hand over the session to Mr. K. Isaac, the Deputy Manager, HR Nucleus Software. And a small request to all the participants, kindly mute your microphone and turn off your video for the better recipient of the speakers. So kindly cooperate with us for the better functioning or a better handling for the resource person. Now it is over to Mr. Isaac, a Deputy Manager, HR Nucleus. Welcome, sir. Kindly don't present. Mr. Isaac? Yeah, please, sir. Yeah, welcome, sir. Yeah. Not able to hear your voice.
Great. Good evening. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, fine, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay, great. It's a great joy and honor for me to join this webinar. In fact, it's an honor for me to be here connected with almost 175 people. And I take this great opportunity to welcome all of you here. And for this webinar where we are going to learn and we are going to learn together, and we are going to talk things or maybe take things in a serious note of what emotional intelligence is all about. Emotional intelligence has been always evolving here. But then how many of us have been thinking about this? What is emotional intelligence? Since we've been hearing it, it is from 1990, it's been used very effectively also. But then we've never heard it so far. So in the recent past, we've been hearing emotional intelligence, EQ, IQ. As Sir said, it is going to be, SQ also very soon. But then what it is all about? It is all about what we are doing on a day-to-day life. Okay, it's not something going to be very different. It's not going to be something which is very new, which none of us know. It is something that all of us know, but then we are not very specific on using that particular talent there. I would like to just start by telling that emotional intelligence is all about emotions that is concerned between person to person. Okay, it's from you and another person. Okay, so just give me a moment. Let me try to share my presentation. Sir, can you help me share the presentation?
Yeah, you can present, sir. You can present. You can click the present now. You can share your PPT through present now.
Okay. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So welcome to this session. Okay, and so we're just going to start off with this emotional intelligence. So as you all, I was just thinking, how are we going to use the chat box, or how are we going to communicate. As you read in my profile, I am always a two-way communicator. So I'm never a single person who's going to communicate one way and let you off to sleep. I'm sorry. If you're looking out for that particular speaker, I am not the one. So it's going to be a great time where initially, can I have you, everybody, even though if you're not switched on the video, it's fine. Can you just smile for a moment? Just take a smile. Many of us in the lockdown period, we would have not smiled for a long time, and we would have even forgotten how to smile. So if you take a minute to smile, maybe if somebody's next to you, you can have a smile with them. Okay, it can be a little weird, but then it's worth it. Okay. Okay. So since we are effectively using the chat box, I would want you to just 2 words of what is emotional intelligence according to you. We've seen a lot of authors who've been writing about emotional intelligence, but use the chat box to just type what is emotional intelligence according to you. And then we will see what best answers we get. And from there, we'll try to derive something. Okay. And now it's going to be a time to think and reflect. I'm just going to take you through a story. It's about an old man who's been in a place where he was living for more than, say, about 45 years. He was about 80 years of age, and this old man has never had a nice face. He's always had an angry face, and he's also had a tough figure right through his career, and he always yells at people without any reason. So we yell at people only when we are angry, when we are upset or something, or when we are too much of overstressed. But then this person tries to show his anger with everybody, no matter what. He tries to shout at everybody. And then all people were really frustrated with this man, and they were thinking like, what is going to happen to this guy who's always yelling at everybody, who doesn't smile at everybody, who doesn't allow somebody to come near or even talk? So everybody was surprised. And one fine day, everybody came running to Pierre to convey things to people, stating that they saw people running and coming out. So few people were thinking and asking them, what happened? Something good? What about the old man? And they said it's old man's birthday. Okay, we thought something else, but then it's old man's birthday. So what's special about old man's birthday? It's just going to be another day of shouting, yelling, and hearing all nasty words. Then somebody said, no, the old man is smiling. Okay, the old man is smiling. So all of a sudden, the entire village gathered in his place and asked, what happened to you? So he said he was always yelling at people, and he was always not good to people because he was in search of happiness. Okay, he was in search of happiness. But then at the age of 80, and being that day, he found out that happiness is nowhere outside, but it is just within him. Okay, so he was intelligent enough to find at the age of 80 that he has happiness on his own. How many of us today are searching for something that is within us but outside? Right? Many of us have all the talents that is hidden within ourselves. We just bury it, and we just go out and search for things. My dear friends, let's reflect on what we are doing on day-to-day life. Being this lockdown period, everybody starts talking about lockdown. Why? Okay, let's make use of it. Webinars become very famous. Zoom calls become very famous. And people are trying to get knowledge somewhere or the other. Where is the hunger for knowledge? And when I saw so many people connected here, I was like blown away. And YouTube Live, I think the university is doing a wonderful job of connecting all of us together just to share knowledge. And in fact, I'm very happy to share these things with all of you. All of you are learned people, experienced people in different angles, different perspectives, and you would be handling a lot of people. So emotional intelligence is very, very important, where all of you are connected today. And I'm sure that we're going to learn a little more about what emotional intelligence is all about and what we're going to do. So here's about emotional intelligence. I hope you have all typed in your chat box about emotional intelligence according to yourself. Okay, so now, as usual, we go to the next question for you to type in is, what is your expectation in this session? You just have to take 1 minute or maybe 30 seconds to type it up and send it up, right? And then we will just move on. So when you do that, I would like to just move on to the actual definition of emotional intelligence. What is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is the ability to identify our own emotions and those of others. As we rightly spoke just a few minutes back, it's not about us, it's about people who are around us also. And know how to monitor our emotions and those of people around us. So it's not about us, it's about people around us. That's going to be about a complete definition of emotional intelligence. And talking about this, I would also like to tell you about another story which comes to my mind, where a wise man has kept a big rock in the middle of the road, and he's just gone, and they were all looking from a side thinking who's going to move the rock so that the road is clear. There are a lot of people coming in, and they were just looking at the road, and the king was blamed for everything, because the king was the person who was in charge of this particular road, and the maintenance was under the king. So everybody started blaming the king that, what kind of a maintenance, like most of us do. We always blame others for a lot of things, but then we don't know, or we don't even think of what we can do for that particular time. So as usual, everybody started blaming everybody, and then they were moving on. And there was one particular person who came, and he was going this way, that way, and trying to do, he was thinking, what is this exactly which is stopping others and which is making them to waste some time and then move on, but nothing progressive. But then this person, he tried to move the rock, and he was trying with all his energy, and he tried to move the rock. And finally he moved the rock, where he found a purse full of gold. The king wantedly kept something to know who is the best person to be selected to be his successor, to recruit somebody under him who can take care of the entire empire. And so that was a small test that he had given. And this particular person who had crossed this place and who had moved this rock found a great reward of bag full of gold. So how many of us are just moving away, thinking that we are too intelligent? This is not my job. Let me go on. This is not my thing. Okay, if somebody is struggling with something, let me not think about that. Let me think about my own thing, and let me focus more, and let me move on. How many of you think that? My dear friends, this time is a time where you need to think how to help people and how to technically help them in such a way that all of us are benefited at this time. Many of us, in fact, we hear in news continuously that coronavirus is spreading badly. We need to wear masks. We need to do a lot of things, a lot of precautionary measures. But then there are few people who are least bothered about what is being spoken. Are they intelligent? I don't want them to even be intelligent, at least to follow something somebody is telling, which will help them to understand what exactly is going on. So this is the... Okay, is my screen visible? Just confirming.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. So
Samuel, don't try to present. Samuel Raj, don't try to present, please. Yeah, yes, sir. Now it's good.
Okay.
Go
Sorry.
ahead.
So how many of us have been following? I see many of them without masks. It is not for others, they are telling, it is for ourselves. So it is a responsibility as a human being, as a citizen of India, to follow certain things at this particular moment, so that we don't get panicked because of these viruses getting infected with our family members, all these stuffs, right? And emotional intelligence is all about your emotions. What are the emotions that you actually see? All these emotions that we do on a day-to-day life, starting in the morning. If you have idlis on every day, and suddenly on the 5th day, if you again have, your mom comes and gives you the same idli, you give them a look as if you just hate idli like anything, right? So we don't smile and say like, thank you for the 5th day idli. You don't say that. You give a face, you give a long face. And sometimes when you get for vegetarians, if you get something special, for non-vegetarians, you get something special in the morning, your smile is like totally different, where 10 people will smile looking at you. They say that it's a bulb on your face. So that will be very clearly seen, right? And surprising, wow, How is this? So a lot of emotions. And when somebody gives you a comment, and when you don't like comments, you look like, oh, what's this? Right? You give all those expressions. When your college is leave, you give college is on leave, you give an expression. When your college is declared open, you give an expression. When there is an examination cancelled, you give an expression. When it is postponed, you give an expression. When it is overburdened, you give an expression. So everything is based on emotions that are badly affecting everybody. So now, always we talk about positive things, right? Every webinar, every stage shows, everything they talk about only positives on the first. But now I want to start with something which is negative, which will help us to understand more. Like, what do people with low emotional intelligence do? All of us know that positivity is like, it should be like a current. I will be like this, I will be like that. I can do this, even though you will not even get up from your bed and say that, I'm going to do this. But still people say, hey, that is all easy, man, we will do. But we will never do. A simple example is that I heard from my friends that they were not able to go for jogging in the morning because it is becoming so lazy for them to get up in the morning, right? So somebody getting up early in the morning at 6 o'clock is now getting up at 8 o'clock. Somebody who was sleeping at 12 o'clock after completing the work is now sleeping at 10 o'clock. But when you ask people who are working, they are working 24/7. They are not able to accommodate time. So now we'll just look at people with low emotional intelligence of what they will be doing, basically. Signs of low emotional intelligence: being argumentative, lack of acceptance. You will never accept what people say, but you will say that you are only the right person. How many of you have this experience where our mom says something and dad always says that, no, this is what it is, right? You don't know anything, keep quiet. A lot of us, okay? I can see a lot of people nodding your head also. Okay, good. And not listening. This is basically with us children and parents. We don't listen. We say that, what do you know? You don't know anything. This is the latest trend that we want to do. So please stop talking. So you just listen and you just overhear things and you blame others. This is the very great factor that is now booming everywhere into the corporate world. I mean, it starts from educational, space, moves on to corporates also, and not only corporates. It spreads like anything. When good name comes, we accept. But something has been blamed, we don't accept, but then we just put the blame on somebody else. So that's how we've been, seeing people, and we've been motivated to blame somebody. I'm using the word motivated to blame somebody because it has been time and again we see it, again and again we see, and we want to show by default, he only did that, I didn't do. My job is here, I am done with it. I didn't do. But if it is a good name, hey, wow, I am the person who's doing this. Thank you so much. Okay. You just keep accepting praises after praises because you are a praise lover, right? And emotional outburst. People tell you a lot of things, and finally you burst like anything in your anger, where you scold people, and you say that you are nowhere related to that, and stop doing all this. All your emotions burst at that time. So being argumentative gives you one particular emotion, right? And people who are really creative, when you see these pictures, if you just make faces of the same, being argumentative, how your face will be. Not listening, how your face will be. Blaming others, how your face will be. Emotional outburst. If you see all these, and maybe I'll give you a homework which you can try out, people who are really selfie oriented or selfie lovers, you take all these pictures and please look into your phone. You will never touch your phone henceforth. I bet you will never touch your phone henceforth if you're taking all these pictures and if you're seeing yourself. A slight picture which is just turned a little more, you will not be able to see. But then when you are a little more positive on that, there you are. That's how you will have to be. So in this time, I would like to again, please get onto the text box again, and I would try to, ask you the next question. What do you feel best that you did in this lockdown period, apart from this webinars? Okay. Webinars being goody and all that is fine. But then what best did you do, something that was really fantastic in your family, in people around you, you would have helped somebody? Or what is the best thing that you feel that you did, which really mattered a lot, right? So you can just write in the text box and we will go through that shortly, right? So let's get into a comparison now of what low emotional intelligence and high emotional intelligence people are basically into. Low emotional intelligence, it's always, I take it always low. It's not about low or high. I take it as negative and positive, right? High is always positive anytime. So I hope you agree with me. And so here we go. Aggressive, demanding, egoistical, bossy, confrontation. You wouldn't be very quiet at all. You want to be, you show all your ego there. And how does high? Assertive, ambitious, driving, strong, wild, deceive. So if you just go through this, I'm not going to go through the entire PPT. It's just for your understanding. You can just go through that. So this is how all the negative or the low emotional intelligence people face. They are into all these. So in case you see somebody tomorrow, you will be able to judge them. I mean, I'm sure that because I learned that way. When you go out of the session today, or when you talk to somebody, you will first have the judgmental thing of whether he has a low emotional intelligence or a high emotional intelligence. I bet you can't be without that, right? So that's a practical exposure that you will definitely know, and you will try to talk about that to somebody that, hey, this person is really low on his emotional intelligence. We need to do something to, equip him or to empower him. So this is how you will have to think. And the best part of what we are doing is we have to be quiet rather than being aggressive, understand people. You should not just react. You just have to just understand people and be as slow as possible to be an intelligent person who is strong on emotions. Okay, and the next thing that we are going to see is a small mixture of what all emotional intelligence actually matters. When you see a mixture, it's very tasty. Why is it tasty? It is not tasty because only of one thing that has been given to you. It is about few things that are given to you, right? It is. You can take cookery as an example. You don't put only dal and say that this is very tasty. You add salt to it, you add pepper to it, you add few other things to it to make it so beautiful, so tasty that people say that you are a specialist. So the same way, there are few things that creates emotional intelligence. And what's that? Emotional intelligence is all about self-awareness, empathy, motivation, self-regulation, social skills. Okay, and I'm going to just run through very fast. All these are very practical things, so I'm not going to stick on to this. I'm not going to explain to you too big. It's going to be very short, where you will definitely feel we are a little fast, but then fine. Self-awareness. What do you mean by self-awareness? Needs, hopes, dreams, skills, values, personal interest. Are you aware about all these? Your awareness towards hopes and dreams, your needs, your skills. Many of us are not aware about our skills. I don't know how many of you are in video, or how many of you, if you're really with me, if you agree with me, we are not really aware about the skills. Please raise your hands. That's how it is. We're not really aware. I would like to just bring a story to you at this point of time. There was a family who was actually handling cattle. Okay, I mean cattle in the sense, not, they just had one cow. Okay, which gives milk every day. So there was a priest who went, and there was a priest and an assistant. So they were walking through a village, and they found this priest was suddenly very thirsty or hungry. So they were just looking out for some houses, but they found all as forest. And finally, they were able to find one house where they found a family with 3 children, husband, wife, and 3 children, and 1 cow. So the priest went, and they were discussing, and they said that, if they can give something to have and all that for your living. So the dad said, we have a cow, and we have milk through it. It gives us milk, and we sell the milk. We also prepare butter. We sell it, and with that money, we just try to run our family. This is how it goes. And then it was just a casual discussion to know more about the family, because they were like far away from the city, and it was like isolated place. So the priest said, okay, thank you so much, and let's go. So the priest and the assistant started, And after going for a while, the priest said to his assistant, can you do something? Can you go take that cow, okay, take it to a mountain and then push it from there? Are you thinking why? I'll tell you. So the same thing happened to me when I was reading it. Why should you actually, push a cow from the top of the hill? So the priest said, you do it and you will know what will happen. So he has to obey. He said, no, this is not right. He was getting hit very badly in his mind. It was totally a war in his mind that why should we do this? It's not going to harm this family and all that. But then he has to obey the priest. So he went, he pushed that cow on the night, and then he just came off. So days passed by, and everything moved on. And finally, this guy was not able to live happily. So it was like too much of reaching for him, saying that, oh, I did this mistake. I need to go and talk to this family and all that. So one fine day, after say about 4 to 6 months, he went back to this place to tell this family that I'm so sorry. I only did this. I should have not done that, but I was forced to do it. So he wanted to apologize and go. So he went and saw, and he was asking for this address. And that time that was only a small house, and they had only one cow. So he went and saw there were a lot of people working, and there was a bungalow which was built, and it was so posh, and it was totally different. It was looking like a palace. So this person went and asked somebody in the village, like there were a few more people living now in the village, that hey, I came to meet this person. Where's that person? You're standing in front of that person's bungalow only. Can you please go inside and ask for them? He was blown away, and he said, okay, let me go. He didn't understand anything. He just went inside and checked. Okay, let me go and talk to them. And he went inside and asked, okay, what happened to you? How did all this came? And I thought you would be suffering. His thought was totally different, right? He thought that the family either would have died because of hunger, or they would have been struggling for food, or a lot of factors that would have brought their family completely to a depression. Okay, those negative thoughts were going on. But then when he asked, this person said, we had only one cow, and it was giving few liters of milk, and we were able to manage our day-to-day expenses. But then now we had no other choice. We had to work hard, and we started working in different multiple ways where we'll have to earn more. And these few months taught us so much of things that we were able to build this palace. My dear friends, this story simply says that we are always content with only one thing, right? We are always very happy with whatever we have. We are always happy with, something that we know really good. We are not ready to go out of a comfort zone to learn something, to read something, to understand something, to share something. We are never doing that. But a lot of things are inside us. A lot of things. Self-awareness. That's where I'm coming to say. Self-awareness. That family did not know that they had so many skills that they can build a bungalow, but then they were in a small house. And then this person was really shocked and said, wow, thank you so much. And they in fact thanked the person who actually pushed the cow. And this guy knew that who did it, and he just silently came praising the priest. So that's all about self-awareness, my dear friends. Are we really aware about the self skills that we have, the personal interests, the needs? If we are able to assess ourselves, we hardly take time to assess ourselves. This is the fact. You always take time to assess others, right? So we hardly take time to assess ourselves. And I think this is going to be a great changeover that we will be starting today, that we should be aware. Write out all these things. And I will be just giving you a few homeworks that you can just start doing or assessing yourself, right? You take a piece of paper and start writing what all you're aware about. You might be good in driving, you'll be good in cooking, you'll be good in running, your athletics or sports or gymnasium or whatever it is. Just pen down those things, and you will know like how well you have been doing everything, right? So this can be one of the way that you can assess yourself, where you can self-evaluate the awareness that you have about yourself, right? So and next we move on to something called empathy. This is very, very, very natural, and which is very known in most of your syllabus, or many of them would have taught you. It's just, we all know only one dialogue. What do you mean by empathy? Getting into others' shoes. What is others' shoes? Nobody knows. That's reality. So simple to explain this is, take their perspective. If somebody is struggling, go to their mind and think. You can see in the picture that somebody is getting onto their binoculars and seeing how big the problem is, how small the problem is, the same way that they are seeing. That's how we need to get into that. That is what getting into the shoes. Consider emotions. Somebody is crying and coming and you're laughing at them. That's what usually happens. When somebody falls, we start laughing. But how many of us realize that that's wrong? That person goes through a few seconds of shame that everybody saw him or her fall down. How many of us consider those emotions and then react to that rather than smiling? These are things that we need to reflect on, and also withhold judgment. We need not judge anybody just like that. We need to go from their perspective and then reflect on us. A simple example that I can give you is like, get into the shoes of teachers. How much they are struggling to make us study, and how many of us are really playing around. Of course, you need to play around. That's not, that's not wrong. But then, when something serious is being told and we make fun of it, that doesn't convey the point. So let's be always empathetic, and that will solve all the problems most probably. And the next thing that I really want to emphasize, and the best part which I like in this, is motivation. Motivation, it's just right inside you. I would just explain to you in this picture. These pictures are just two pictures where you have something white in the middle. I just tell you, you might know what motivation is. He's a motivational speaker. He's a lovely person. If he talks, everybody will get charged up. I will be really happy after listening to him. Many of us have a lot of motivational videos, motivational jokes. A lot of things going just to motivate our boost our motivation. But then, how many of us have tried in front of the camera, in front of the mirror, talking good about yourself? How many of us have taken time to talk good about ourselves? First of all, we always have time to crib about others. We always have time to find faults with others. But motivation, self-confidence, motivation is within. And when you have an attitude of never give up, motivation automatically boosts up. The problem is, motivation is there, never give up is there, but in between you have a valley that is running. Most of us get into that first of all, right? We don't directly think that we should never give up. Even though we fall down, we get up, and then we still run to finish the race. Let's not get into that white line which is in between, where we fall down but then jump to the next never give up thing, where we'll have more self-motivation right through us. Many of us are going down in these days because there's no motivation. We get our motivation from our teachers, we get motivation from our principal, we get motivation from our correspondent, we get motivation from our elders. But when you don't go to the college, who's getting motivated? There's no motivation. If somebody gives you some job, you say, let me think and I'll come back to you. You don't say, boss, let me try and come back. Let me try and come back. You give a hope of try. When you try, you succeed. We don't even use that small word called TRY, right? Try using it. You will definitely move to places. And the next thing that you are going to do is self-regulation. What is self-regulation? Just a thin rope that helps you to, regulation is nothing but discipline yourself. Regulate yourself. What are things that is required for you to be self-regulatory? I mean, it's going to be like planning, clarity, choices, priorities, which will help you to reach your destiny. Most of us are not regulated, including me. I'm not 100% regulated. It's like we go zigzag, and finally, when we fall down, we come back to our lane, right? Our motto is to go only through that rope where we can have our disciplined life. Emotional intelligence, These are factors that are actually playing a very important role in emotional intelligence. You trust, I mean, you believe it or not, all these seems to be very small words which we keep hearing time and again in videos, in people talking, in stage shows, in a lot of places. But then how many of us think that everything is within us and we are not using it? And the best part of next thing is like social skills. It's not social media skills. It's called social skills. Many of us have lost these social skills. We don't have time to talk to our parents. We don't have time to talk to our siblings. We don't have time to, we have time to spend in our laptops. We have time to spend in our mobile phones. Mobile phones are really difficult. It's actually taken all the time. Social skills are nothing but sharing, cooperating, listening. Are we literally doing all this? Following directions? So, directions, many of us don't like somebody when they talk to us. I mean, when they tell, please do this today. Keep quiet, I know everything. This is what we do. Are you with me? Yes? Okay. If you're with me, just nod your head, I'll understand. Okay. And respecting personal space and, making eye contact, using manners. Manners, okay? That's a new word at this point of time. No? It's very difficult to hear that word called manners. All of us are being groomed in a different way with our parents, and thanks to our parents that they have groomed us to a different style where we have all these things, but then we are not using it. Thanks to our parents, first of all, because we know what all these are. They have taught us so much that it is our responsibility to use this. My dear friends, you will have a lot of questions. By the way, you can ask that in the question and answer session you have in the last 10 to 15 minutes. But then how many of us are really following these? We have a mix of a crowd here in this webinar. And I keep meeting a lot of people. In fact, I meet a lot of college students because that's been my passion of meeting college students, giving them the knowledge. You would have gone through my profile, which was read. Street theater trainer, soft skill trainer. Soft skill trainer will not happen unless it is two-way. Socializing skills. How many of us are ready to say that I am wrong? I want to learn, so I want to go and get the knowledge from somebody, and I want to be correct. All these are pertaining to the emotional intelligence. Is just one word, but so many things comprise of that. It's all about the disciplinary factors that we have. Now, there's a small mistake in the social skills where we have added media to that. We want fame, we want name. But without the basic things that we have on social skills, how will you get the name and the fame? Just a point to reflect with all of you. It's just easy to talk everything, but then it's very difficult and tough to practice them. So a simple thought process is that a dog always, this you would have seen with a lot of in a lot of streets, dog chases a car. How many of you have seen that? It chases a bike also, right? If you go at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and when you go in the proper full speed, it chases you. So somebody asked, there were two people. So one person asked, do you think your dog is going to ever catch that car? Right? Do you ever catch that car? And this person replied, what bothers me is that what he would do when he actually catches that, right? How work is important without any goal. You should have a goal. In life, if you don't have a goal, dog has a goal, but then how far will you achieve it? You never know. Please fix a goal to you. Please fix a goal to you and say that every day. One of my seniors usually tell me, you just stick a board in front of you, and every morning when you stand up, when you get up from your sleep, you see that board and say that never give up. Yes, boss, I will never give up. And today is going to be your day. These are the things that he writes in his board. Never give up. Today is my day. I'm going to be the day. I'm going to learn things. I'm going to spin around and work. I'm going to achieve things. These are the few things that he actually, puts it in that board. And every morning he says that I'm going to do it. Isn't it an intelligent idea? You can try it with a chart paper, which has to be, for a week. You can have it for a week. Or if it is a board, you can have it every day changing. You can write it the previous night and you can sleep. And the next day morning, when you see that, you get tires fixed in your legs and you feel like running. That's how it has to be. And emotional intelligence, to sum up everything, is just about it's about you and me. How are we going to balance? Are we ready to balance? Because don't know how to balance. We just fall either this side or we fall that side. So, it seems to be very difficult for us to manage. But then when you are going to be strong, this is going to happen to you. Trust me, that we are going to do is going to be really great. And we are going to achieve a lot of things because of these few things that we learn time and again. And we will definitely cherish all those moments that we are going to learn. And in fact, if you're going to share these things to your juniors or your students or anywhere, I think they're going to have a very good, life-saving tips, I would say. So those were great things that, I came across, and I want to share these things to you. And I would always love to do a lot of events, doing a lot of practical exposure games and stuff like that. But then we are now forced to this small system where we are able to share knowledge. And in fact, I'm really happy to be presenting this. And any doubts, you can just ask me. I am almost done, and I think we'll move on to the question answer session if you have any, and real time questions if you really have something. We can go through that, and anything you can just discuss. And I really not done with it, but then okay, let me leave. The question answer session will be next. For your next, I think you would have used the text box so long to type things, and you would have sent it already. So one thing which I want to leave you with, awareness information, which you can find. It's called the connections, which is trending now. So if you can just tell what this picture means, and if you just write it in your text box. Anybody wants to answer, you can just unmute and you can answer immediately. Or maybe you need not use the text box. Somebody who knows this already can just unmute. You can tell me. Anybody to find out? So long. I'm waiting for an answer. You can try. You can try. You can unmute yourself and you can try. Maybe you can just say your name and you can try.
Sir, this is Sunil here.
Yeah, please, Sunil.
Is it wash your hands?
You got it right. Thank you so much, Sunil. Where are you from?
From Chennai, sir.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. That was a wonderful answer. So if you didn't get it, I can tell you, wash, wa. I mean, I think this is a little bit of Tamilish also, so please excuse me. Wash your hand. Okay. So with that note, I just want to, say, stay safe, stay home and be safe wherever you go. Follow all the rules that has been followed. And with regards to emotional intelligence, person who can say yes. Okay. Never say no. Don't be negative. Always be positive. If you are a person who says yes for things that you can definitely do, I think you can go miles and you can achieve things. You can achieve a lot of things. One thing which I want to say in close is ordinary people always do the extraordinary. I always believe in that. So if you are a person who's if you think you are a very ordinary person, where is this emotional intelligence going to help me? I don't know all this. I don't, how am I going to manage all this? Trust me, that's not going to work. You might be an ordinary person, but you have extraordinary skills within you, which you just have to knock and come on. That's very important, right? So with that note, thank you so much for your time. And over to Sir. We'll have the question answer sharing time.
So thank you, sir. Thank you. That's a very fabulous presentation with the kind of interaction you had. So really you touched up on self-awareness, social skill, empathy, motivation, self-regulation, and with the examples. So that's very important, because normally this we can able to get from any books. But
Right.
thing is that the practical exposures that you have just touched upon. So I hope that that is very important. And let us kindly mute, dear participants, kindly mute your microphone, and also turn off your video except the organizers. Kindly turn off your video, please, for the better reception of our program. Yes, sir. Now I think you have a lot of questions, right?
Okay, sir. If you can help me with those questions, I will be able to.
Definitely,
Yeah.
because almost several questions has been there. My colleague Dr. Jerida is also there. You would like to share a few things? Yeah, please, kind of. So my Dr. Jerida, she is a colleague in my department of social work who has put in more than 23 years of experience. As I told you in the afternoon, no? Just I told you about my own colleagues in the department. She is one of the senior most faculty. Please, madam, please over to you.
Thank you, Professor, for giving me a time. Sir, it was Mr. Issac, sir, it was a wonderful session, and it is very relevant for this lockdown season. So what was my expectation was, is there anything special type of intelligence, emotional intelligence that we should all build in during this lockdown season, so that it will be helpful for others, because each people are built with different types of emotional intelligence. And you already said about the low intelligent and high intelligent people.
Right.
In a nutshell, can you just say what is very much essential at this season, particularly?
Okay, thank you so much for the wonderful question, ma'am. Thank you. When we say about emotional intelligence, and the very important thing that we need to follow is, the first thing that we are failing is about self-awareness. That's what I was telling you, that the talents that we have. See, many of us in this group may not be able to even log in till yesterday, but then today we are all able to log in. We would not have a laptop, we would not have a mobile, or even though we had a mobile, we know YouTube, we know WhatsApp, we know Instagram, we know Facebook, but we never knew something called Google Meet is there, something called Zoom is there, something called WebEx is there. So we are starting to learn a lot of things. How do we explore more things to develop our knowledge should be our focus, rather than doing things that we already know, and it'll be a spoil sport kind. So always have, that's why now it's a combination of, intelligence is always a combination. When you have self-regulation, everything falls in place. If you're not regularized, it's going to be difficult. Everything plays a very important role. Social skills, self-regulation, self-awareness, and then becomes empathy. Motivation is something that everybody has, just that we say no to motivation as of now. We need to get that interest out of what we need to explore things that we actually want. So I think I answered your question. If not, please tell me. I will try to do better.
Thank you, sir. It is more than enough. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sir, let us go to the chat box of a few questions being asked. Yeah. Let me put the first question. That is a kind of call. So how do you manage the emotional intelligence of the children?
How do you okay. Whoever asked this question, I
Now
think
talk
I
about
can
the
understand.
emotional intelligence of adult.
Right,
So
right,
this is very important because I think that many of us, many would have felt about the
very true, very true.
know how to manage the
Okay, somebody who's been really affected
yeah.
because of working from home has asked this question. Thank you so much for that person, because it's going to help all of us. Okay, right. Emotional intelligence to a child. I mean, you cannot limit a child. See, when you're working, obviously, child will come and fall at you. You cannot yell at them, right? Because they don't know what you're doing. But then rather explain what, keep them aware of what you are doing and ask them to make them understand of the situation, what exactly is going on. And you can give them different works that will engage them. If you're just shouting at somebody and saying stop, 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 it doesn't work. When you're giving them something, understand what their thought process is. Are they give them what is required, what they can practice. For you, working from home might be very new, but then the child from if it's going to be 2-3 years, it's been practiced to work from home every time, right? So you need to think what best can be given to occupy the entire time. It cannot be always television. It cannot be always mobile phone. It should be something which is relevant to, and it cannot be any games all the time. Okay, by the way, a lot of people give the games at that time, mobile phone, and they start working while they want, saying that moment they have stopped. But then that's very bad practice. We need to also engage that if they are good in drawing, give them some books. If they are very good in puzzles, get onto that. Regulate themselves. Give them a pure plan of what they can do. You cannot control them. If you control, they'll become arrogant. They'll change their total attitude, right? So teach them about sharing. Teach them about caring. Teach them about whatever that you have been, understanding. Teach them manners. And many of them, I think most of parents would agree with me that when you talk to a child, many of them will not look at your eyes. How many of you say yes or no? I don't know. Many of them, they will not look at your eyes because they are little playful. So ask them, call them, make them see you, have that eye contact, start from there. Today, many of us who are in the professional way or in the corporate still don't know how to talk to somebody who is standing, respecting your time. When you ask the question, I will turn like this and answer. No, actually, when you see, my hand will be here, my look will be there. Is that the right way? I don't think so. Right? So teach them all these basic things. Respect, that's very important. So you have a lot of time to be spent with the child, but then you cannot avoid work also, I understand. These are things that you can try to understand. Understanding the child is the first and foremost thing that you can ever do. Whatever book you read, whatever videos you watch doesn't satisfy this. You will have to understand your child. That's very important, right? Yes, sir.
Mr. Isaac?
Yes.
Yeah, can you able to much using gadgets,
Yes.
especially during this lockdown period, affect our emotional intelligence?
Right. Okay. So using gadgets is affecting the emotional intelligence. Okay, great. So using gadgets, how many of you are really filled have you filled your entire timetable with gadgets? If so, I'm very sorry, you need to change your plan. You need to have a different plan altogether where you will have to talk to people. I am connecting with people who are 15 years back with me, who worked with me, who studied with me. How many of you did that? Gadgets, yes, is fine for your updates, but it is not your life, right? Try to spend time with people. Spending all the time with gadgets doesn't give you intelligence. It can give you only informations. Information is different from intelligence, right? You can create a lot of things, but then you have your own creativity that is inside you. Mobile is something which has come now, where you are getting used to it by opening all the apps. You're trying out and you're finding out. But there are some skills that are always hidden to you. It can be an art, it can be a music, or you can be a musician by birth. But then if you're not able to bring it out, try that this time. You might be a very good, you say, in Tamil. In bench, if few people see any tables, they start hitting drum beats. You can be a very good musician. How many of us have used it? Many of us do not do. We again get into the mobile and say, I have drums in the mobile and I'll try in that. You have hardcore, real-time, proper skills in you. Try to bring them out. I think that's just, at least if there are 10 hours you're spending in your mobile, just put forth 5-6 hours and just spend 2 to 3 hours with whatever skills. It can be crafts, it can be some artistic work with wastage. There are a lot of things that can be done. Many of them have become skilled people at this lockdown period, and they want to actually change their profession. They want to put down their papers and they want to change their position. They want to open a shop with artistic effects. Few people are good in stickering. They are getting into that. So think what best you have inside. Many of them are mechanics. Mechanic is not a local job. It's a very good job. You are mechanically great. How many of you know to dismantle a bike and put it back? So a lot of things, skills, small things, putting it back in the same place. Nowadays, in a house, if we see, we just come and throw outside everything. When you come inside, you remove your shoes and put it in somewhere else, and mom will come and shout, and finally she take it and put it in the stand. How many of you face the issues? I've seen a lot of houses. So how do we discipline ourselves? So please work on those skills. You have a lot of skills inside. Practice something. Practice gymnastics. Practice your exercises. If you really want to, surprisingly, many of them want to reduce their weight. So a lot of them are working. A lot of them have set up gyms at their houses. No equipments can be purchased. So everybody's having their own style of working out. So just bring all that you have inside. It will be wonderful. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Can I answer for it, sir? Just adding on to what
please.
said, with the permission of the professor.
Yeah, please.
Sir, what you say, adding to what you have said, because of the little experience that we have gathered in the department, I would like to say, using gadgets will give you intelligence, will give you a lot of information, but not emotional intelligence. Because at time of crisis, our gadgets are not going to help us. It is only a machine that gives you that sense and receives communication. So emotional intelligence cannot be had when you are going to use a lot of gadgets. So that is my point of truth.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was very nicely said and good way to put it up. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, sir. As I told you, the simultaneously people are also watching YouTube live, right?
Right.
And there are questions from YouTube watchers, right?
Right.
So in this process of motivational process, how to deal with people who are trying to bring in a negative in my life? Because normally people are more negative towards the approach, so how things to handle.
Right. So this is for both. I can answer for both kids as well as grown-up people. Okay. So because this is something that all of us face. It's not only somebody faces. It's all of us. So what we do is basically when somebody comes for something, maybe asking something to you, the first word that you say is no. Right? No, I cannot do. I might not be able to do. Right? If you this applies to kids. When you give them food, the first food that you give them, they say no. They stop you from that. So please flee away from negative people. If they are negative, they will try to make you negative. But unless and until if you are motivated enough with your self-confidence, you can always withstand that and turn them to be positive. Right? Your actions will talk more than your words. What good you show to them, whatever negative they come, you still keep telling that it is possible. Why don't we try? That I told you, TRY. Many of us don't know that spelling even now. We don't even try that. Right? If you just use that word try, everything, all the negatives will definitely turn into positives. We just have to take some efforts. There are so many scholars who told so many things about being positive, how to flee from negative people, how to be positive. So even though many of us don't like to read, right? Many of us don't like to read. We all like to hear. We all like to see, right? So if we have this habit of seeing and learning, try to change the attitude of people who are approaching you in a negative way. Try to change them. No, this is possible this way. Give them more encouragement. If they are not able to, connect well, give them some emotional attachment, saying that, boss, come, let's try together. Right? If some project is not working, let me help you. I will try to search and I will help you. If it is going to be a successful one, trust me, he will never be a negative guy anymore. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. There is one important question, connecting the meditation and emotional intelligence, because normally people meditation, no? So whether the meditation can help to improve the emotional intelligence.
Meditation, okay. Emotional intelligence is basically about you and me. Okay. So hope that concept is right.
Yeah.
So it's about you and me. Meditation is only about you. Right? So you will be able to control, you will be able to learn, you will be able to do everything, you will be able to cherish things, you will be able to try things. Those are all different. But when it comes to emotional intelligence, it's something about the others also who look at you. So that's a totally different perspective where you may not be able to compare yoga and the meditation and emotional intelligence. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, sir. How to improve EI? Some simple techniques which is needed.
For emotional intelligence.
Yeah, of course, you just spoke about the 5 areas. So they want to know some simple techniques wherein they can improve the emotional intelligence.
Okay. Simple thing. Somebody comes to you asking for some help. Please don't say no. Understand what they want. Number 1. Number 2, please be aware about how you're going to react. Your reactions matters a lot. If you see that reaction slide, which I told you, there are different emotions that have been sent there. So whenever somebody asks you for something or somebody comes and tries to explain, don't show any faces. Because by default, we try to, it will be totally different. When they talk itself, we start showing our faces in a different way. Okay, and so what happens? Okay. No, that is not possible. So these kind of things will actually pull them down. What you have to do is just listen to them. I want you to be empathetic here. Be empathetic. Get into their shoes, understand, and then give them some boost of telling that this is definitely possible and definitely we can motivate them. Get empathy and motivation will be the answer for the question, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And what is the connection between EQ and SQ? Because now recently we talk about spiritual quotient. So what is the connection between EQ and the spiritual quotient?
EQ is something where it is used in every place, like, the basic work that we do on a daily basis on, something which has been done. Spiritual is something, it is centric on that particular person. Okay, it depends on an individual, like how spiritually you are. How do you want to actually use that time? So how do you basically want to, plan yourself spiritual quotients? So it is still not, it just started coming. It's not that greatly being, evolving also, but then it's starting to come. So I would say that rather when you start doing emotional intelligence properly, when you follow it religiously, other things will fall into place. It will be very easy. The basement is emotional intelligence.
Yes, sir. Whether soft skills improves the emotional intelligence?
Very much, very much. That was a very good question. Whoever asked it, that is really great. Soft skills, yes. When we see somebody greeting them, right? When we see somebody greeting them, and when we finish a conversation, thank you. Okay. Soft skills play a very important role. Listening plays an important role. And how far do we listen and how well do we give them responses? Are we trying to look into their problems as our problems and giving them solutions? Matters a lot. Okay, simple example is that when you work for a corporate or anybody, when you see a housekeeping person, how do you actually react? This is the best example I can ever give you. How do you react to a housekeeping person, or how do you react to a housemaid? Do you treat them as one of your family members, or do you treat them as totally laborers? Treat them as friends. You'll find it more interesting. They will do whatever, extra work if you want to do, they will do. They will help you. They are in fact helpers. They are not servants. They are helpers. They help us to do something when we are not able to do. How much respect do we give? Most of us, sometimes we don't respect them at all. Ingava, come here, go there, get lost. We use different words also to them. The language that we use to them is different. So communication doesn't differ from one person to the other person. It has to be the same. That's where, soft skills plays a very important role. Respect. We spoke about respect. How do we respect? It can be a 80-year-old, grandfather. It can be a 20-year-old person. So it doesn't matter. So soft skills really plays a very important role.
So there is another question. Can a high IQ become a burden? Because anything which is excess, we say that it is dangerous.
IQ,
so naturally, when the high IQ, when the people having high IQ, so whether it becomes a burden or sometimes is maybe dangerous to that particular.
Okay.
So
high IQ doesn't become a burden. It will become stressful. I can put it that way. It will become stressful. Okay. When you see somebody with high IQ, you don't keep quiet. You keep, giving them more and more and more and more, where you want to extract the best out of it. But then it becomes a stressed situation where it can be stressful and depression. Okay. It can be stressful and depression. Right.
Yeah.
Yes,
So another question, is there any association between emotional intelligence and yoga? Because I think same related to spiritual quotient.
Meditation.
Yoga will try to improve the self-awareness.
Self-awareness, exactly.
That's, I think, even it can add to the self-regulation of an individual. So I think that can be the answer for it.
Right.
I think let us take the last question. Is the emotion is similar to the feeling? If so, what is the difference between emotions and feeling? So
Okay.
that's a very wonderful question.
Yeah, it's actually a very good question. In fact, to actually have it as a last question, because
of course, this is the last question. Yeah.
No, I am fine if you want to have one or two more questions. I'm fine because people will be interested. Right. So answering to this is emotion is similar to feelings. I should first understand what the feelings are basically, right? So emotions are of different categories. When you say personal emotions are different and the regular emotions are different. Few people say that if I'm getting emotionally attached, it is going to be difficult, right? But then those emotions are different, and these are totally different. Where this is about self-disciplining and regulating and stuff. But then emotions are little different from feelings. Both are not the same. You cannot combine or club and say that this I had and because of that I got feelings. No, that's totally different. It depends on how do you handle. How do you mix it up with you? What is feelings according to you? What is emotions according to you? Right? Totally, both are different.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So that's really, as I said, it's a fabulous speech by you on the emotional intelligence. I hope that this has enlightened many of us, right? So, and of course, as you said, during the lockdown period, right?
Yeah.
So naturally many of our emotional intelligence has gone up, because when you say the self-awareness has enhanced and self-regulation would have also enhanced. And now easing of lockdown has come for the betterment of social skills and self-regulation, because now we try to learn a new behavior, new kinds of things. And as I said in many WhatsApp, I've been sharing that our Tamil culture is being promoted, saying Vanakkam, right? And that has been promoted very much among even the foreigners. They used to fold their hands together and saying Vanakkam or good morning. And that's a very good sign that our culture is being widely spread. And that way, this lockdown has made us to enlighten us and try to bring some kind of changes in us, not only in terms of self and also associating with others, with your friends, with your family. And many people, when you're just telling, no, they were trying to share their feelings during the period of lockdown with their friends, they were their colleagues, with so many people. The interaction pattern has increased. Though, though we are not physically connected, but we are mentally connected, emotionally connected. So that is a very important thing, sir. So thank you very much on behalf of the Department of Social Work. And as I said, we are right now 5:15 of Indian Standard Time. So thank you very much for joining us. On behalf of Bharathidasan University, Department of Social Work. So you did a very wonderful job in serving the purpose of trying to elucidate on the emotional intelligence, right? So thank you one and all, sir. Thank you the participants. I hope that you had a very nice session. So, and I'm very happy that many of us have joined through Google Meet as well as through YouTube. So that's a very good sign. That's thanks for supporting our department. So, and as I told you, we'll be having a continuous lectures on a different fields. Even next week, we are going to have on the geriatric care for the lockdown people, and how during the lockdown, how the geriatric and the old people need to be taken, taken up, right? So how we can able to give a supporting system to the elderly people. So, and that way, and many people have asked for a feedback. So this is another thing out of way. Feedback session, feedback forms will be shared tomorrow, not today. And because we have another session by Dr. Michael Raj, senior, general manager of BHL, who will be sharing about emotional intelligence at work. So thank you one and all. Thank you very much. So thank you for your sharing of information, and thank you all the participants. So thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for your time. I would like to thank Bharathidasan University and our dear sir for this great opportunity that has been given to me, and all wonderful participants who've been logging in and commenting on the feedback and the questions. The participation is really wonderful. It was really, I never felt that it is like a webinar. I was just talking as if I was talking to somebody who's sitting, 100 people sitting in front of me. So, I'm sorry if I could not see my expressions, but because of the slides, I'm sure that you would have definitely seen. And that's lovely to connect with you. And it's been always a pleasure to talk to people who are really interested to listen and to also share knowledge, which has been my always the passion to share knowledge. Thank you so much.
Yes,
have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.